So here's where we stand with the legs so far. I did the lower stretchers here, or these rails. I always get confused. But anyway, these are done. I did half laps on these. And I did my lower supports going across that I'm going to use to secure the table. And then I needed stretchers to go across the length of it along the legs, from the legs here along the length of the table from one side to the other to give rigidity to the whole table. But I didn't have any more southern yellow pine, so I got this. It's kind of like white pine, and I don't like it. It's too light, it's too white, it doesn't go well with the yellow pine. So what I did was I just went and picked up this 8/4 white oak, and I'm going to cut this into 2 boards. I'm going to rip it down the middle and use that as the stretchers, and I might actually dye that like a dark brown to kind of match the walnut strip that's going to go in the top of the table. So I think that's where I am now. So all I'm going to do, everything's done. The mortises and everything are done for here. So really all I have to do is flatten this board, rip it down, and then cut the tenons on the end, which really shouldn't be more than using a saw. I can do my little Japanese pull saw or whatever and make the tenons. That'll be pretty easy. And then at that point in time, I can actually do my leg vise, which you can see came in the box today. So that's pretty cool. So I got the leg vise, and I can do that and get those holes drilled into the leg itself, because I want to do that before I flip the whole thing upside down and assemble it. And then once I do that, oh, I have to cut like a little dovetail thing in the top of the legs here, but I can do that flipped upside down. So really, I'm getting close. I'm going to replace these though. That's the next step. I'm going to replace these. I might show you a little bit of that process, and then I'll get into the whole leg vise thing. So let's go ahead and get busy. Okay, so here is the problem I have with this large piece of white oak that I just got for my new stringers. I'll show you. It is, the first problem, it's about 9 inches wide, just a hair over 9 1/4. So that means it's too wide to use and run through my jointer to get one flat edge. The other problem is it's pretty cupped. You can see there's a pronounced cup right here, so it kind of has a little smiley face going on. So I don't want to run it through my planer like that, because I'm just going to make that accentuated on the other side when it basically mimics the shape of whatever it's on. So I need a flat side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and put it on a piece of MDF. I happen to have a piece of MDF that's about 10 inches wide and just a little longer than this board. So I'm going to take this, put it on here, put some shims in, do a little hot glue to keep it in place, and then I'll use that as my reference side to run it through the thickness planer, and then hopefully that will give me a flat side. Then I can flip it over and run it through the other side of the thickness planer and get a nice flat parallel board all the way across. So let me go ahead and start that process. Okay, I've got this board sitting on the MDF, and I can see by pushing it back and forth on the corners that I've got a little bit of twist in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shim under these high corners, and that will make it stable as it goes through, and then it can flatten this top off. Once it's flattened, then this is going to be my reference for the other side. So then I can just flip it off, take it off the MDF, and then just run it through regularly. So let me find some little tiny shims and a little bit of hot glue and get this thing secured. All right, we'll let that set up for a couple of minutes, and once that glue is all dry, then we can go ahead and run this through the planer. Alright, so you can see there's one side completely flat now. That is flat and straight. And now I can go ahead and take that off the MDF, and then I'm going to mill up the other sides, and I can joint it and run it down the table saw, and that's pretty much it. Alright. Okay, so I went ahead and milled up that white oak that I had, and I split it into two different boards, and you can see I've already got the boards already cleaned up, and I made the tenons on them, and they fit really nicely where the other ones were. So that's pretty much done. So now what I need to do is take the legs off and cut the little keystone in the top of them. So I'm going to have something that looks like this. It's a keystone. It's going to go in like this. It's going to be a keystone. It's going to help tie in this last board. You can see this is not flush. This actually sticks out because there will be another board that comes in this way, and it's going to match up to these keystones. So that's my next step. Hopefully it all makes sense when you see it going, but right now what I'm going to do is mark the bottom surface. I'm going to mark this surface right here across this leg, and then this surface right here, so I know exactly where to cut those keystones on here. And so I have to pull each leg off. I have to mark it, pull each leg off, and then cut the keystones. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet. Either I'll use a hand saw, or I might do it on the bandsaw. I don't know. Let's try one and figure it out. You know, one of the most important things for me to do is to keep these legs in their correct positions now, because everything's kind of been matched up to where this leg is in this spot, that leg over there is in that spot, this leg over here. So I went ahead and I'm just writing letters like this is B, this is B, and I'm going to write B right here on the table so that I know that all of these B components come together right here. And that kind of helps keep things going, because all the measurements have been made with this particular leg over here. If I accidentally swap legs, things may not actually work out. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure everything's labeled so I know where everything goes back to when I'm done. So right here where the leg comes across, I'm going to extend that line out and then over in the front, and that's where the smallest edge of that keystone is going to meet up. But I want to make sure that this line where I cut in is flush with the rest of the bottom of the tabletop here. So I think I've got my lines all laid out, so I'm going to go ahead and start with this leg right here. All right, that's a lot of freaking work. So I think what I'm going to try to do is do another one on the bandsaw and see which one gives me better results. I'll cut a little wide of the line here on the bandsaw just to see how straight I can get. Maybe I'll change the bandsaw blade to get a little thicker blade for a straighter cut, but I will not have a right arm left if I have to do that. Whew. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 7 more times. So let me see if I can make a little bit faster work of that with the bandsaw. I mean, I don't mind making these cuts right here because those are pretty accurate and it gives me a nice flush line right there. But that's a lot of work. This is hard wood. All right, let me try it on the bandsaw. Whew, that's a lot easier, let me tell you. All right, I think this is a winner. I'm going to be going at it with the bandsaw and definitely cutting a little time off the process.